Doctor, thank you so much for your time. You've identified 4 distinct groups. What are those groups, and which ones are the easiest to convince to get vaccinated?
So it goes on a scale. We've got people who are going to get vaccinated as soon as possible. That's what they're telling us. So they have some particular characteristics which we can use to really get them over the finish line. Then we've got some people who are saying, look, I'm going to wait and see. And they differ quite a lot from the as soon as possible. So definitely we're talking about policy and relevance and what we should be doing. We must target and approach them differently. Then we've got a small but not too small group of people who are saying, if required, I will do it. And they like the as soon as possible, but they've just got slightly lower motivation. But basically, they're less likely to resist getting vaccinated if we do make it compulsory in some way, shape, or form. And then we've got a fairly big block, unfortunately, of definitely nots. These are people who say, it doesn't matter really what you do, there's no way you're going to convince me to do it. But just in terms of policy, we should be going, our study shows that we should really be going after the as soon as possibles and the wait and sees first before moving on.
So what are the biggest things then that would convince the ASAP group and the wait and see group? What kind of interventions would work?
So we're basically finding as soon as possible, it's frictions, it's structural barriers. You just need to smooth things over and you will get them to be vaccinated. So what that means is many are citing that it is a lack of time. That is, about 50% or more citing, hey, it was a lack of time. And if you say to them, what if it was available after hours on the weekends? They say definitely, 80% say definitely, we will go and get vaccinated. So for them, it's also a question of not knowing potentially, do I need to register? People still are not entirely sure about whether they need to register or not. 30% think that, yeah, I do actually still need to register. So that's a small but significant barrier. So for those people, preaching to them about the efficacy of vaccines is not useful. For the wait and sees, they're a different group, and they are not as convinced about the efficacy of the vaccine. They're really actually worried about potential side effects, but large. They are worried that they may die after the vaccine. So that's a real issue. And telling them, hey, I've got a 100 Rand voucher for you, or we're having a special drive tomorrow, or whatever, that is not going to help them. For that group, we are going to need to come with information that really helps people to feel safe, to feel that it is worthwhile signing up to get a vaccine, and to feel that many others like them have already gotten the vaccine and are fine.
Doctor, very quickly, you say we've got a large chunk who say they're definitely not getting vaccinated. Are you saying there's nothing that would convince them and the only if required group?
So the only if required are easier, right? Require them, right? So essentially, and I mean, we know you've probably discussed this on your show a lot as to the difficulty about, all the difficulties of requiring. The definitely nots. We are finding that it is a question of not necessarily misinformation, but misunderstanding. A lot of people cite firsthand evidence of, I know somebody who got vaccinated and they died, or many people are getting vaccinated and they die, or someone has a chronic illness and they got vaccinated and, bad complications. And it's often a correlation. People who already have COVID get vaccinated and then unfortunately get very sick or they die. We also see a belief that you only go get vaccinated if you've got COVID.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to work on helping people to understand better and not being judgmental, but getting proper information out.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Dr. Katherine Eyal of UCT and co-lead of the COVID-19 vaccine survey.